Your bones are literally weakening inside your body right now, and you probably have no idea it's happening until it's too late. By the time you feel that first crack, you could already be months away from a life-threatening fracture. But here's what's going to absolutely stun you. 30% of people who break their hip will die within a year, and another 50% will never walk normally again. Leading orthopedic surgeon Dr. Vonda Wright, who has spent 30 years working with Olympic athletes, has discovered something revolutionary that changes everything we thought we knew about aging. Here's what's going to absolutely stun you. 30% of people who break their hip will die within a year, and another 50% will never walk normally again. But leading orthopedic surgeon Dr. Vonda Wright, who has spent 30 years working with Olympic athletes, has discovered something revolutionary that changes everything we thought we knew about aging. She's proven that you can actually reverse bone loss, build muscle that releases longevity proteins, and maintain the physical capabilities of someone decades younger, even if you're already in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. The athletes she studies have bones stronger than people half their age and I'm about to show you exactly how they do it. Before we dive into this life-saving information, I need to ask, have you subscribed to this channel? If you're serious about staying independent and healthy as you age, that subscribe button could be the most important click you make today. And please comment below and tell me your age, because what I'm about to share works no matter how old you are right now. Let me start with something that's going to completely blow your mind about what's actually happening inside your body. Your bones aren't just some passive framework holding you up. According to groundbreaking research published in Nature magazine, your bones are actually master communicators, constantly releasing powerful proteins that control your brain function, muscle strength, and even your hormone production. When your bone cells release a protein called osteocalcin, it travels through your bloodstream like a molecular messenger service. It goes directly to your brain and provides protection against Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Multiple studies now show a direct link between people with weak bones and higher rates of cognitive decline. This same protein travels to your pancreas and helps prevent type 2 diabetes. In men, it can even signal the body to produce more testosterone. Your bones are literally conducting a symphony of health throughout your entire body. But here's the terrifying reality that nobody's talking about. According to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, at least 50% of women over 50 will experience a bone fracture in their lifetime. That means if you're a woman over 50, you have a coin flip chance of breaking a bone. For men, 2 million are already living with dangerous bone loss, and that number is climbing every year. Hip fractures now have a mortality rate that rivals many cancers. Think about what this really means. You could go from living independently in your own home, driving to see your grandchildren, taking care of yourself, to potentially never walking normally again, or worse. All from one fall. And here's what makes this even more tragic. Dr. Wright's research proves this is almost entirely preventable. Now, here's something that's going to shock you about the timeline of aging. Most people think the dangerous years are your 70s and 80s, but Dr. Wright has identified what she calls the critical decade, and it's actually your 35 to 45. However, if you're already past that window, don't panic. The principles I'm about to share have worked miracles for people well into their 80s and beyond. During those critical years, several things happen simultaneously that set the stage for either healthy aging or rapid decline. For women, estrogen starts becoming erratic before disappearing completely during menopause. For men, testosterone begins its gradual but relentless decline. But here's the crucial insight that changes everything. This is your last natural opportunity to build maximum muscle and bone density, while you still have optimal hormone levels. After menopause or andropause, you're essentially fighting an uphill battle against biology. But here's the incredible news. It's absolutely a winnable battle if you know the right strategies. Let me share something that will revolutionize how you think about exercise and aging. Every single time you contract your muscles, you're literally manufacturing longevity inside your body. There's a protein called klotho that scientists have nicknamed the longevity protein because it gets released with every muscle contraction. This protein works on every organ system in your body for repair and longevity. Here's how powerful this discovery is. Researchers have studied mice that are born without the ability to make klotho, and these mice die old, while they're chronologically very young. Their organs age rapidly, their bones become brittle, and their brains deteriorate quickly. But Dr. Wright's groundbreaking research revealed something that should give every American hope. She measured klotho levels in the blood of 80-year-old competitive athletes and compared them to completely sedentary 20-year-olds. The results were stunning. The 80-year-old athletes had significantly higher levels of this longevity protein circulating in their blood than people who were 60 years younger but didn't exercise. This proves that your biological age and your chronological age can be completely different things. Your muscles also release other miracle proteins during contraction. There's irisin, which scientists call the exercise protein, and it does something incredible. It converts dangerous white belly fat into brown fat that burns calories like a furnace and is packed with energy-producing mitochondria. Another protein, called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, gets released and travels directly to your hippocampus, literally growing new brain cells and improving memory formation. Let's talk specifically about bone density, because this is where Dr. Wright's research gets really exciting. She conducted a landmark study following thousands of athletes competing in the National Senior Games, essentially the Olympics for people over 40. What she discovered was absolutely revolutionary and gives hope to every American worried about their bone health. With consistent impact exercise like basketball, running, volleyball, or even dancing, you can maintain bone density equal to someone 50 years younger, well into your 80s and beyond. The study proved that impact exercise was literally as important for bone health as your genetics. Think about that for a moment. Your daily choice to do weight-bearing exercise is as powerful as your DNA when it comes to preventing life-threatening fractures. But there's a specific way you need to exercise to get these benefits, and most Americans are doing it completely wrong. Now, if you're a runner or thinking about starting to run, here's something absolutely crucial that could save you from serious injury. Runners who only run get hurt a lot, Dr. Wright told me. And here's exactly why. Running is actually a single-leg sport, which most people don't realize. When you analyze someone's running gait, they're never on both feet simultaneously, like when you're walking. You're constantly balancing and propelling forward on one leg, then the other, for thousands of steps per mile. If your hip and glute muscles aren't strong enough to keep your pelvis perfectly stable, your knee caves inward with every single step. That's 1,000 steps per mile of accumulated damage to your knee, hip, and ankle joints. Over time, this creates a cascade of problems that leads to what doctors call runner's knee, IT band syndrome, and hip problems. Dr. Wright showed me a simple test called the Trendelenburg sign that can predict whether you're headed for injury. Stand on one leg and try to do single leg squats. If your hip drops or your knee caves inward, you're at high risk for running injuries. The solution isn't to stop running, it's to add specific strengthening exercises like single leg step-ups and lunges to balance out your training. Now let's address something that's affecting millions of American women, but is rarely discussed openly. What Dr. Wright calls the musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause. She literally had to create this medical terminology because women kept coming to her office saying the exact same thing. Doctor, I feel like I'm falling apart and nobody knows why. Here's what happens when estrogen disappears from a woman's body. And this affects every woman differently, but it affects every woman. Every single tissue in your musculoskeletal system, muscle, bone, tendon, ligament, fat, and cartilage, has estrogen receptors. These are like tiny parking spaces that estrogen fits into perfectly to do its job. When estrogen is gone, several devastating things happen simultaneously. First, there's something called arthralgia, which is total body pain, so severe that some women literally can't get out of bed in the morning. Dr. Wright experienced this herself and said, I'm a lifelong athlete, and I could barely get out of bed because I was so inflamed due to the lack of estrogen. Second, women develop what's called frozen shoulder syndrome, where your shoulder literally freezes up and you can't move your arm normally. In Asian cultures, they actually call this the 50-year-old woman's shoulder because it happens so predictably to women around age 50. Third, there's rapid muscle loss called sarcopenia. About 20% of lean muscle mass can disappear when estrogen is gone. Fourth, accelerated bone loss. Women can lose up to 15% of their bone density during the transition through menopause. And finally, increased incidence of tendon and ligament problems like Achilles tendonitis and tennis elbow. Because the collagen fibers in these tissues have estrogen receptors too. The research paper Dr. Wright published describing this syndrome has been downloaded nearly 300,000 times, which is absolutely unprecedented in medical literature. To put that in perspective, articles in the most prestigious medical journals typically get downloaded about 10,000 times. This tells you how desperate the need is for this information among American women. But here's the empowering truth that changes everything. None of this decline is inevitable. Dr. Wright's research on masters athletes proves you can maintain incredible physical capabilities well into your 80s with the right approach. Let's talk about protein, because this is absolutely crucial for maintaining muscle as you age, and most Americans over 50 are getting nowhere near enough. Dr. Wright recommends 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight daily. So if you should weigh 150 pounds, that's 150 grams of protein every day. This might sound like a lot, but protein isn't just for building muscle. It's the foundational building block for every cell, enzyme, hormone, and neurotransmitter in your body. As you age, your body becomes less efficient at processing protein, so you actually need more, not less. The highest quality protein comes from sources rich in leucine, an essential amino acid that your body cannot manufacture on its own. The best sources are whey protein powder and dairy products like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and milk. If you're plant-based, you can absolutely get adequate protein. But you'll need to eat significantly more and carefully combine different sources to get all essential amino acids. Here's something that's going to surprise many of you, especially the women watching. Creatine supplementation. When Dr. Wright surveyed her medical office staff about who used creatine, all the men raised their hands, but not a single woman did. When she asked why, the women said they thought it was just for bodybuilders, and that it would make them bulky. This is a massive misconception that's preventing millions of Americans from accessing one of the most beneficial supplements on the planet. Creatine at 5 grams daily helps build both muscle and brain function. It's one of the most extensively researched supplements in existence, with proven benefits for cognitive performance, especially in older adults. It doesn't make you bulky, it's not a steroid, and it's not just for men. Now let me tell you about something called VO2 max, your body's ultimate measurement of fitness and longevity. This measures how efficiently your body can take oxygen from the air and use it in your muscles during exercise. Elite Olympic athletes typically score between 75-90. Excellent levels for regular people are around 50 for women and slightly higher for men. But here's the number that should absolutely terrify you and motivate you at the same time. 18 for men and 16 for women. Dr. B. Wright calls this the fragility line. Below these levels, you cannot get up from a chair unassisted. You cannot walk across a room without becoming breathless. You've essentially lost your independence. Your VO2 max naturally declines about 10% per decade after midlife if you don't actively work to maintain it. So if you start at age 50 with a VO2 max of 50 and do absolutely nothing, by age 60 it drops to 45, by 70 it's down to 40, and by 80 you're at 35, still functional and independent. But if you start with a lower baseline or remain completely sedentary, you could hit that fragility line much earlier and lose your independence in your 60s or 70s. The beautiful thing is that VO2 max responds incredibly well to training at any age. You don't need to become a marathon runner. You just need to consistently challenge your cardiovascular system through a combination of steady-state exercise and brief high-intensity intervals. For weight training, I want you to forget everything you've ever been told about light weights for seniors. Dr. Wright's research shows this approach is not only wrong, it's actually counterproductive for longevity and bone health. For women over 45, especially after menopause, she recommends progressively working up to heavy weights, 4 sets of 4 repetitions. For men, 4 sets of 8 repetitions. You build up to this progressively over weeks and months, but you need significant resistance to replace the muscle-building and bone-building signals that declining hormones used to provide naturally. Here's something about body weight that will change your perspective forever. Every single extra pound you carry puts 7 to 9 times that amount of pressure across your joints with every step you take. So if you're just 20 pounds overweight, that translates to 140-180 pounds of extra pressure, crushing your cartilage with every step. Your cartilage, that smooth, slippery surface on the end of your bones, is incredibly important, but also incredibly delicate. It's actually smoother than ice when it's healthy, allowing your joints to glide effortlessly. But it's so fragile that researchers in laboratories can damage cartilage samples just by dropping a marble on them. Imagine what carrying extra weight for years does to these delicate structures. Let me share something from Dr. Wright's research that should give every American hope, regardless of their current age or fitness level. Her comprehensive study of masters athletes showed that we don't experience significant performance decline until after age 70. In her analysis of track and field performance across all age groups, she found that the 70-year-old who won the mile race finished in 4 minutes and 34 seconds. That same year, a high school student won the high school mile championship in 4 minutes and 17 seconds. That's only a 17-second difference after more than 50 years of aging. If you're experiencing dramatic physical decline before age 70, Dr. Wright says it's not biology, it's psychology. Most people experience their first significant ache, pain, or moment of unusual fatigue, assume it's inevitable aging, and unconsciously start giving in. They stop challenging themselves physically and mentally, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of decline. But her research proves that your body will respond to appropriate challenge at absolutely any age. She shared incredible stories of people in their 80s who started her programs completely sedentary, unable to complete even basic warm-up exercises. Within just 3 months, these same individuals could hold a plank position for 2 minutes, walk 3 miles without stopping, and complete full exercise circuits. Here's something critical that connects to everything we've discussed: diabetes prevention. According to the American Diabetes Association, 96 million Americans currently have prediabetes. That's nearly 1 in every 3 adults, and most don't even know they have it. When your blood sugar stays consistently elevated in the prediabetic range, research shows you have a 70-100% chance of developing full-blown type 2 diabetes within 10 years. And diabetes dramatically increases your risk of Alzheimer's disease, which some researchers now call type 3 diabetes because of how it affects the brain. Here's where muscle becomes crucial for metabolic health. Your muscle tissue is your body's primary glucose storage facility. When you have adequate muscle mass that's regularly contracted through exercise, it efficiently pulls excess sugar from your bloodstream and stores it safely. This is why resistance training is so crucial for metabolic health, not just for strength and bone density. Always consult your doctor before making any dietary or lifestyle changes, especially if you are managing a medical condition. Here's exactly what I want you to do starting today, regardless of your current age or fitness level. First, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do it right now. This information could literally save your independence and extend your healthy lifespan by decades. Second, start thinking about your bones and muscles as active, communicating organs that are orchestrating your health, not just passive structures holding you up. Third, begin progressive resistance training at least twice weekly, even if you start with just body weight exercises or very light weights. Fourth, prioritize protein at every single meal. Work toward that goal of 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. Fifth, add safe impact activities to your routine if your doctor approves. Your bones absolutely need impact to stay strong. Sixth, seriously, consider creatine supplementation at 5 grams daily, regardless of your gender or age.